All right, let's talk about the Donald. What a character this guy is. Entertaining as hell, but obviously a complete narcissist and all-American con man. He his crimes you don't have to look too deep to find. I mean, the guy's into massive building projects all around the world. You know, he started in New York and Atlantic City, and it's not. You don't have to dig too deep to find out who he was affiliated with to get these projects going. We all know the massive building projects are controlled by the unions in New York, and we know that the unions are controlled by La Cosa Nostra in New York City, Atlantic City. Trump, he's a character. You look at his mentor, who was Ray Cohen, and Ray Cohen was a lawyer, and his clients included Fat Tony Salerno of the Genovese crime family and Paul Castellano, the former boss of the Gambino crime family. I'm sure all of you know who Paul Castellano is. He was the one who was notoriously and famously gunned down by John Gotti outside a steakhouse in Manhattan. It's obvious that Trump's building and casino projects were public fronts for La Cosa Nostra. Like I said, nothing gets built in New York City or New Jersey without those in control of the union. If you also look deeply into Donald, he's also a Zionist supporter, and you know the problem with Zionism goes back to the Pharisaic teachings of the Talmud, not the Torah but the Talmud, and anyone with political ties to Zionism is a problem. Read into the Talmud and its teachings. There's no equality between Jews and Gentiles. Gentiles are seen as goyim and cattle. It's interesting to me that Trump's whole rah rah speech to get the crowds riled up, get the mob going, is this building a wall along the U.S. Mexico border. This coming from a guy who has had to pay out heavy fines for hiring illegal immigrants. His building projects, and I think if you were to look domestically in the United States here with all of his business or affiliated businesses, that there is massive corruption of illegals, of basically slave wage. I don't think that would be too hard to find. Beyond that, I think it's pretty hilarious in our society that you got all these people up in arms. You look on Facebook and all these social media outlets, and obviously the media are one controlled conglomerate, but they're using these different wing viewpoints on things, and Hillary versus Donald, Donald versus Hillary, and it's all complete bullshit. These people are affiliated with one another. She was at his wedding, for Christ's sake, and Donald has given massive contributions to not only the Clinton Foundation but Bill and Hillary's campaign funds throughout the years. Trump has also publicly condemned Barack Obama, yet he affiliated with the architect behind Barack Obama's rise to power, which was Rahm Emanuel, the now mayor of Chicago. It's obvious that Trump greased wheels. He put in a massive building project of the Trump Tower in Chicago, which was built last decade. He's donated more than $25,000 to Emanuel. Obviously, simple greasing of the political wheels there, but Rahm Emanuel is another guy who is connected deeply into the Zionist movement. His father was entrenched in Mossad. Rahm Emanuel has dual citizenship with the U.S. and Israel. His brother is Ari Gold from Entourage, Ari Emanuel, which is he's known in L.A. as basically the top agent in town, and their family has deep links to Mossad. I'm curious to see how this whole thing shakes out. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Hillary gets indicted right around the election or maybe shortly after the election. And one with all the craziness going around Trump, it just feels like they're some sort of like false flag, attempted assassination, or something like that. Some sort of security breach could happen with Trump. Seems like a very high probability that the whole electoral process could be completely disbanded, and Obama could institute martial law given the outcome of Hillary being indicted and a possible security breach against Trump. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. In closing, I just have to say that I think it's your democratic duty not to vote in this election. We all know the game is rigged by the choices in our candidates, and even though we have the choice to go out and to the polls and cast our vote, in the end, even that vote is overruled by the Electoral College. And in this particular presidential election, I think a non vote shows a hell of a lot more the state of our democracy than actually going out to vote. Both of these candidates are people of division. They're both narcissists. They're both linked to deep corruption, and they are both contributors to a Zionist movement that is unhealthy for the Middle East and our country and the world in general. So